Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Your Money, Your Life podcast, episode 167. Thank you for listening. Make sure wherever you're listening, 5-star rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, do the same thing and also hit the notification bell so you know every time we release new content. We have a lot to go through this week. So much in the news. We'll first start with the market update. All the inflation numbers just came out. The inflation numbers came out for March, as we are now in April, and things were a little bit better. We pretty much went to 5% increase year over year. So it was a little bit lower than expectations from economists. So the market whipsawed yesterday. There wasn't much to show for. It was roughly flat to a little bit down. I think investors are digesting the data. And the producer price index numbers just came out. So the numbers for producers, the price increases were also a little bit down as well. So the market's digesting this data to see what the Fed will do in May. The Fed will more than likely raise by another 25 basis points and then potentially pause in summer, which is expected right now. And so that's what the market's digesting. You're seeing things like, cryptocurrency surge today based on the fact that Twitter and eToro went into a partnership. And so there is a lot of things going on in the market right now. But that's the big thing, is what we're going to see the Fed will do in May if they've got enough data points to decide if they should pause or not. And that's the big debate right now. Inflation came in cooler, but what is the Fed going to do? So the big area, if you dig deeper into the inflation numbers, grocery prices were coming down a little bit. So egg prices, a dozen of eggs, which is like a big inflation data point to see, okay, how much is the price of a dozen of eggs? So that came down a little bit, but shelter, that's still going up. The price for rent, hotel costs, all those things are still going up, even if they're cooling. The rate is cooling a little bit. It's still increasing, and that plays a big part in the inflation numbers. So you can dig deeper into the numbers to get a bit better sense. Used car sales, used cars going down a little bit as well. And the Fed has been, pretty loud about staying the course for raising rates, and they want to crush inflation. But now traders are starting to bet that there's a 43% chance that the Fed will hike interest rates in May. So they're saying that there's less than, most people are saying that they may not raise rates today. A lot of the traders are saying that, but there's still chance that they will be doing that. So more than likely, raising rates in May, and then we'll see what happens in the summer. So that's the big thing right now that's driving the markets, and it's really been flat. There hasn't been too much craziness right now. And if you move forward into more news, it's really getting interesting what's going on with ChatGPT. So a lot of functionality, a lot of new tools, a lot of new ways to do things in ChatGPT are coming out. But will your employer want you to use it? Because it is a Microsoft company. They've invested a lot in the company. OpenAI, of course, is the head subsidiary that Microsoft invested in OpenAI, who owns ChatGPT, the product. But employees at Samsung were using ChatGPT, and they leaked secret company info to the AI chatbot. They're using it to make their job easier, to use functionality, to make more efficient by finding out something from the ChatGPT language algorithm. And they accidentally leaked source code that was sensitive, and they had meeting recordings that were sensitive sent out to ChatGPT, the AI chatbot. And we don't know where that data is going or how it's being used. So it's going to be interesting how employers take to employees using these AI products, just in the sense that they don't want their information out there. But it does make it easier for employees to type something in ChatGPT and get a Excel formula that they couldn't have figured out otherwise, and then get easy spit out some so they could do their job easier. It's so much, but that's going to be a big conundrum going forward in my mind, and we'll see how people take to it. Twitter is actually trying to block Substack. So that's interesting. Substack is like a blog platform that a lot of people link in their Twitter bio to be able to link to their Substack, so they can read more about, so people can read more about what they're saying or talking about. And Twitter is actually trying to block it. And they announced their own Twitter, and Substack announced their own Twitter-like feature called Notes, and Musk began to retaliate. And he's blocking creators' ability to embed tweets in Substack posts, and banned likes and retweets on tweets with Substack links. Man, he is not playing. So that is going to be something to watch out for, because Substack is a small, niche, growing microblog platform. and Twitter, of course, being the dominant microblog platform, is trying to put a stranglehold on Substack, which will more likely drive traffic to Substack in the short term. That's because people are going to be curious, like why is this being banned? And then we'll see what happens in the long term if Substack is able to form something out of this. But it's to be watched, to be watched. So Michael Jordan, we're going to see Air tonight, which is this new movie about Michael Jordan. It's more about Sonny Vaccaro and Phil Knight and their journey to saving Nike, which was a struggling startup before they signed Michael Jordan. And that obviously we know became the best signing athlete in history. His his shoes, a single pair of his Air Jordans, they're worn by Michael in the 1998 NBA Finals, went to auction, and they sold for $2.2 million. It's the most expensive sneaker sale ever. It's really, it's really cementing Jordan's status. Of course, it coincides with the movie Air coming out, which is really a momentum shrine to not only, the people I mentioned, but also to him and all the stuff he's accomplished. And so this auction just cements his ability to really just drive value. It's kind of crazy. And it's being rumored that he's about to sell his stake in the Hornets as well, right? And so he's, one of the few minority owners of a team, and he's looking to sell his stake. It sounds like, and there's, bids and there's stuff going on behind the scenes. So we'll watch that closely. Work from home is being nixed by JP Morgan for all their directors. So the nation's biggest bank is ordering senior staff back in the office 5 days a week. Managing directors are allowed to follow hybrid schedules. Since the pandemic, when it comes to feeling busy, the memo also stated that corrective action was possible for hybrid employees who were skirting a requirement to be in the office 3 days a week. So Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of JP Morgan, doesn't really like work from home, and he wants his people in the office. What do you think, people? Would you go to another job if someone wanted you in the office 3, 4, 5 days a week? Because there are still people wanting remote work, will allow you to remote work. It's waiting for smaller companies to siphon talent, but the bigger companies aren't having it. They want people back in the office because they think it spurs productivity, efficiency. So they want you back in the office ASAP. What do you think? I don't know. I would rather work from home. I love working from home. It's the best. It's easiest. You cut down on commute time, cut down on a lot of things that take a lot of time and energy that you didn't notice that you did before. It's crazy. I could never go back into just office work. Let's move on to our questions. I thought these are really, really fun questions. So we're going to go through rapid fire, a lot of them. We're going to guess together because I haven't looked at the answers, but I'm curious on all of these questions, what we got for us today. There's some really interesting ones. We'll start let's go baseball, because baseball is back. I'm not a big baseball fan, but it was opening day a week or so ago. So I want to know, the question asked, what are the 5 MLB teams that have the highest team payroll, meaning the salaries they pay the players? Baseball has no salary cap, unlike other sports. So you could pretty much pay the players whatever you want to pay them, as long as the owner is willing to come out of pocket for that. So baseball has a huge discrepancy in the payrolls, because some owners, like the Mets, who's owned by the Cohen, they will pay top dollar for any player that they want. Whereas other teams have a very small payroll because their billionaire owners don't want to pay a lot, and they don't want to really just come out of pocket. They want to try to win another way. So which MLB teams have the highest team payroll? I know this is all going to be like really East Coast New York based and big city like LA. So I'm going to say the Mets, Yankees, Angels, Boston. Mets, Yankees, Angels, Boston. I think the Padres have been spending money as well too. So let's see how close we got. Mets, of course, knocked them out. Yankees got them. Padres, and Philadelphia Phillies. I missed that one. Of course, they have, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name, but he's top player in baseball. And Los Angeles Dodgers. I said Angels, right? Oh, Dodgers. I meant Dodgers. Same difference. Same difference. Pretty close, but that's the highest. Fun one for the sports fans out there. And NBA playoff starts as well. For those sports fans out there, NBA playoffs starts. This is sports related again. Let's go with women. What was the average number of viewers for the 2023 NCAA Women's Final Four games. It was really exciting. You had Iowa, LSU. LSU took out the victory. Shout out to them. But it was a highly, highly watched, anticipated Final Four on the women's side. I think they beat the numbers of the men, which is, maybe the first time they've done that. But let's see. I think they said the women's basketball game, the final championship had 9.9 million. So I'm going to guess the average of the Final Four games, so I mean the semifinal games and the finals, would probably be around 7 to 8 million. Let's see where we're at. Okay. It was 2023 was a record-setting year for NCAA women's basketball. Average viewer was 4.5 million. That's up 66% year over year. Iowa versus South Carolina, the championship game, had 5.5 million viewers. So I think the number 9.9, maybe that's just counting streaming as well, and or the peak viewing time. So that's really, really great numbers for them. Strong finish and a great season. So congrats to the women on that. Let's keep going. A conundrum question. This is like that problem solving, how you think. Of course, we know it's usually meant to trick you, but it's a good question nonetheless. Question: would you rather have $1 million to start, or $1 million, or start with a penny and double your money every day for 30 days? I think the logical compound interest compounding one will say that the 30 penny and double money every 30 days would be the better answer, but I could be totally wrong. Yes, we are right, folks. If you start with a penny and double it every day, it compounds to 10.7 million after 30 days. Simple compound interest, compound math. We're talking about, that's the stuff we talk about in investing. People are like, oh, I can just get 0.001. It sits in a bank account and I can see it, or I put it in a safe or something like that. Doesn't make sense when you can compound your money and then make money on the compounding that you've done, right? And so that's what compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, is a great way to describe that. That's actually a great way to describe it. I really, really like that question. Well, folks, I had more, but we've just rapid fired a lot of questions here. And so I want to save some of them for next week. We'll save some of them next week. So you got to tune in, but make sure you like, subscribe, and forward this podcast to anyone that need this pod to hear our stuff every week. And we'll talk next week.